If you grew up in this country, you remember hearing it when you were a kid. This is a free country. The Constitution gives us freedom. And the first freedom, literally the first number in the Bill of Rights, is freedom of speech. And for generations, that was unquestioned here. It was the most celebrated of our rights. But increasingly, it is seen by the people in charge as an annoying relic. Don't believe us? Try to say something unauthorized in your workplace or on campus or even on a street corner. Why have things changed? Well, because the attitudes of our leaders have changed. And we have a small clip that tells you a lot about what they really believe. This is California Congressman Ted Lieu, and he's explaining in this clip that sadly he's prevented from banning talk he doesn't like by a pesky legal antique called the Constitution. Watch this.
I would love to be able to regulate the content of speech. The First Amendment prevents me from doing so. And that's simply a function of the First Amendment. But I think over the long run, it's better that government does not regulate the content of speech.
The CNN anchor just sort of nods like, yeah, of course, we'd all like to regulate speech if we could. Over the long run, he says, it's better not to regulate speech, end quote. Does that sound like someone who is deeply committed to a free society and its benefits? Or is it simply a bully admitting that for now, the law won't let him do what he wants to do, which is control your mind? I think you know the answer. Well, the left increasingly is using big tech, threats, and public shaming to stamp out political views it doesn't like. They're also ruining actors and comedians and anyone else who dares stray from the script. But not everybody is so limited. We learned that today when one cable host used a slur to describe a member of the Trump administration.
Why doesn't Mike Pompeo care right now? Are the pathetic deflections that we just heard when he appeared on Fox and Friends, is that a patriot speaking or a wannabe dictator's butt boy? And I'm dead serious. I'm asking, are these the words of a patriot?
So the anchor apologized for that remark. But the question is, will she be punished? And of course, needless to say, we don't think she should be punished. She was saying what she thinks, or she misspoke. It happens to everybody. She shouldn't face sanction for that, but then neither should Kevin Hart. But the left now has a long history as the only faction enjoying impunity for what it says.
You talk like a sign language gorilla who got hit in the head. In fact, the only thing your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's holster. Your presidential library.
You give him a damn robe and you let him do whatever the hell he wants. Because this right now, this is my audition for Mr. Trump's cabinet. And also for a regional production of The Crucible. And let me tell you, Queen, I was good.
Dave Rubin hosts the Rubin Report on YouTube, which doubtless everyone watching has watched because it's excellent. He joins us tonight. Dave, thanks a lot for coming on. So just to be totally clear, I don't,
Good to be with you,
Tucker. Well, people ought to be able to tell jokes that I don't like, and often they do. What I find so interesting is at this moment of peak hysteria about speech, where you're seeing normal, decent, totally non-bigoted people destroyed, and the rest of us are completely terrified, and art and free expression is totally ground to a halt. Aesthetics are suffering. No one can be creative anymore. At that exact moment, the left still feels totally free to say things that they would classify if others said them as bigoted. What's going on?
Well, you just nailed it right there. I mean, quite literally, the Oscars can't even figure out who to host the show anymore, either because they can't find anyone that's politically correct enough, or that everyone that would like to do it is now afraid to do it because of the repercussions. But as for the clips that you just played, I mean, look, the simple truth of this is it's showing what the flaw of collectivism, which is basically the idea of judging people based on their immutable characteristics, why it is so terrible and why it has been embraced by the left. You know, you can't be for groups. It actually doesn't make sense because you will eliminate the individual every time. So to say you're for gays doesn't really mean anything, because then when they want to make a joke about you, then they'll make a gay joke. Or to say you're for women, what they don't really, that doesn't mean anything. That's a very low resolution way of saying something. Everyone's for women, let's say, but they're not really for women. Are they for Nikki Haley, a brown woman who happens to be a conservative, who's a strong woman? Of course they're not for her. So to view people through this very obvious and what I would say really is just a dumb and insulting lens, you see it drop every time they speak off the cuff. it drops because they don't really care about the individual. And the Ted Lieu clip that you played at the beginning of this, I mean, man, I don't know when the last time I heard something that chilling coming from a government official. It's like the First Amendment is the most precious thing that we have in this country. And I can tell you, as someone that's been on tour for most of the last year, and I've been to 20 some odd countries in the last couple of months, every single country, the people are jealous of the freedoms that we have here, and especially the freedom of speech. So it's like to hear anyone, regardless of whether he's a Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter, to hear any elected official saying that, you know, he'd love to get rid of the First Amendment. Whew, I mean, I can't imagine anything scarier in a free society, actually.
Well, very quickly, I mean, and I don't want to pound on the anchor. I don't even know who it was in that clip, but it was a news anchor whose living obviously is predicated on the First Amendment. Didn't interrupt him and say, "What, I'm sorry, Mr. Elected Official, did you just say you'd like to control people's speech?"
Yeah, well, it's just incredible, and we're seeing an emboldening of this. You know, it's interesting what you said there, that these are the same people who love to shut people down, but then at the same time they'll accidentally or they'll intentionally say some of these things. You may have seen this today, Deadspin, which is just another one of these sites that just churns out a lot of sort of lefty nonsense. They ran a piece today that basically said, the title of the piece was something to the effect of, conservative gays should shut the F up. I mean, imagine that. Imagine judging people based on those immutable characteristics while at the same time telling those people that you're supposedly their allies. And that's why, again, as I always say to you, Tucker, every time I'm on your show, what do I tell you? For all the disagreements, the political disagreements that we might have, which we've discussed on both my show and your show, because you are a staunch defender of free speech, I will continue to do this with you, whether we agree or not. That's what America is about, and that's what these people are just tossing away.
If they control your speech, they control your mind, and that's never going to happen. Dave, thank you very much. It's a great Dave Rubin. Appreciate it.
You got it, man.